But I noticed that, in myself, there's these in myself, there's these different parts. And I was wondering if you could say a little bit of communication, because I also know there's a lot of therapists out here today who are coming.
Yeah.
And I was talking to a friend backstage who was saying, well, the therapist sometimes is a part. Like they're actually being a therapist.
Right.
They're not actually in self. They're doing what they think a therapist should do, instead of being in a more expansive space.
Right.
And I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about how does somebody know, am I just playing a part as a therapist, or am I actually connected to a deeper intelligence or to a self-energy, and what the difference between those are?
I'm just noticing how open is my heart. Do I have a big agenda?
Yeah.
Or some, and then those C-word qualities, which in addition to the three I mentioned, which were calm, as I recall, and confidence maybe, and compassion, but there's also creativity and courage and clarity, and I always forget one, connectedness, curiosity, right. So I'm checking how much am I embodying those qualities before I do anything now?
Yeah.
And any departure from that means there's some part that's a little bit afraid to let me fully be in my body.
Yeah.
And I'll go find that part, and I'll do a little piece of work with it and talk to it and comfort it, like we were saying earlier. Yeah. And then I'll notice this palpable shift, and my heart's open suddenly.
Wow.
Or the agenda is gone.
Yeah.
And so
that's
some of what we teach therapists to do.
Yeah.
And then to follow up, because if it's happening chronically, it means that that protective part of you is protecting some other part that needs to be healed.
Yeah.
And
Is that where triggers come from? When somebody gets triggered, there's somebody who's they're pretty good, and something all of a sudden something critical happens, and then they're just it's like they become a different person.
Yeah.
They're kind of good on certain levels, but certain things, and all of a sudden the trigger comes out, and they explode into different. Is that a part that is?
Yeah, that's another class of protector that I haven't mentioned yet. So I talked about these manager protectors, but there's another set of parts we call firefighters, because they're sort of waiting around on guard to see if any of these young parts get triggered, because they're wanting to counter the fire of that raw energy from those exiles. If they do get triggered, they think it's a big catastrophe.
Yeah.
And they tend to be, in contrast to the managers, which are trying to keep everything under control and please everybody, like you were talking about. These parts don't give a shit about who gets upset with you. They don't care about the collateral damage to your body. They just got to get you out of here as fast as possible.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's the map. It's just managers, firefighters, both trying to contain and protect exiles.
And the exile was hurt, if let's say I was a kid and I show a piece of artwork to my parents, I'm like, look at this amazing artwork, and they're like, that's shit, you should focus on science or something.
Right.
And so then I exile that one kid, and I become very serious, but that playful, creative part becomes the exile, right?
That's right.
I build an identity that's I'm a professional, I'm a whatever, because I don't want to allow that part to have access, because it came out once.
That's right.
And it got hurt, so I'm going to make sure that I never do art or never am playful. Is that?
That's exactly right. And I just had an amazing conversation. I have 3 daughters, and I've been trying to repair, because the model took me away from them, a variety of things took me away from them, and so I'd been doing a lot of work. Some ancestor. I've been. Somebody doesn't want me to talk about this. I've been doing a lot of work on the parts of me that had interfered in my relationship with them.
Okay.
And the last piece of work I did was I had labored for all semester on remember those notepads, from the desk of, in the print class, like I was a freshman in high school. I'd made this nice leather case for it, and I took it to my father and showed it to him, and he said, I can't use this. I'd misspelled Presbyterian, which he was Presbyterian St. Luke's Hospital. And, there you go again, Dick, you just,
wow.
And that the part of me said, that's it, I'm not going to invest in people anymore. I'm going
Wow. Yeah,
to really
right.
look elsewhere.
Right.
And so it was great to get to it and heal
Wow.
it.
Wow.
And then speaking of apology,
Yeah.
I could apologize to my kids
Wow.
for that part of me that really kept me a little bit distant from them.
Right. And that didn't want to open that door again for fear that
Yeah,
it could be.
I was a pretty good dad, but I could tell I never really totally invested in them the way I should have. So
Yeah. And the genuine apology can come because you kind of found the source of that.
Yeah, and it's a lot easier to say this protective part of me did that than I did that to you.
Yeah.